Alright folks, welcome to this exciting video where you once again join me in the wild landscape of Scotland. And once again for this adventure we're joined by the channel DJ. And once again we're out here in Glen Esk, and just look at this scenery. There's that old abandoned farm complex there. If you want to see that, go back to the last episode. In this one, I'm not sure what we're about to see, but we're just starting off. We're away to check out what this old remains of the stones is here. If there's nothing here, we'll be heading somewhere else in this adventure, and that's often what it's like on this channel. It's like spontaneous adventures, and we're always trying to record things that we've never seen before and little nuggets of history which is hidden within these wild lands. And I can actually see, look, there's sheep over there, so we're just keeping our distance. We got permission from the farmer to walk as far as these ruins, and then we're away to head back on out here. Yeah, it's these stones that I was actually interested in looking at. He's obviously freshly just fenced this, but this must have been an old, like, farm croft or something of its era. Oh, look at the wee window. Wow, folks, look at that. Just think how old that is, this stone construction that we're seeing here. And it's been out on this hill through all weathers, like, years and years have passed though, so it's like hard to even tell what's here. Check it out folks, look at that. Yeah, we'll probably head somewhere else in this video, but it's interesting just to show you wee things like this. Look at the way the stones are shaped here, and the reason that in these animal enclosures they're curved like that, so it's easier to round up and herd the animals. But yeah, this area here has had a few interesting little enclosure bits and walls. Here, I'm just noticing, look, there's a serious amount of cement over there. Here, this is a proper bog. See, a lot of the time, this areas and stuff, when they were getting used, they would have been drained. Whoa, a little bird just flew right over my head there. Yeah, this must be an old sheep dip here, I reckon. Yeah, we've seen this before at places, folks. Old sheep dip. It's obviously no use nowadays though, judging by its condition. Yeah, they would have just gone, like, jumped in here into the sheep dip and then way back out that side. And the reason they dip the sheep is to get, like, the parasites and stuff off them. They always have, like, chemicals and stuff in here. Probably years ago the chemicals they used were a lot stronger than what they have nowadays, like, but that's basically what this has been. This is all maybe like related to that farm that we just saw in the last video. But this has been a cool wee start to this one, folks. We're just basically out in this wild land. A wee dike line like that is just so cool. Yeah, there's wee lambs over here, folks, sitting in a bundle. And that's how we're no wanting to be traipsing about through fields and stuff and upsetting them. And that's the reason we can't go any further down here today. Look at this, folks, the old McConnell topper's been left here at the side of the river. I believe this was probably underwater when the river flooded, because look, you can see the stuff sticking out of it. Toppers do get a lot of grass stuck to them. Maybe the boy literally leaves it here to clean it when the river gets high. It maybe cleans the thing like a power washer. Anyway, we're away to go to another location now in this video, because we're back at the car. This is where we parked next to the bridge. You may have seen that at the start of the last episode, but it was interesting to see that wee stone structure in the field and that. It's a heavy kind of farming area, and we might come back after lambing season and that's over. That's a good track to kind of walk. We could maybe do a circuit of the glen, find another bridge or something further down even. But anyway, let's move on, folks, in this adventure, see where we end up going next. Check this out, folks. We're on a wee drive around the Glen Roads here of Scotland, and this wild land, after being up Glen Esk, we've kind of come down through Mary Kirk, and we've headed over the hills towards the coast, and we've just come across this massive, what appears to be a standing stone here, within the yard of this farmyard. So I just pulled the car in to have a look, and just check it out. It's a huge chunk of stone. Look, it's got a hole in it there. and almost like a cutout. It's an interesting big stone. Wow, it's probably been here for absolute years. Look, there's a sign in the modern era, folks. People leave their vapes lying everywhere. Disposable vapes. What a massive chunk of stone though, and we just thought we'll have to stop the car. I actually drove past and then turned around and came back because you can see the height of this stone. It's been a feat to even get it upright like this into the ground. To think of the height of it, you just have to imagine how far into the ground it must go. And it's just a mad, massive shard. And it's cool to keep documenting stuff like this. It's like such a rich variation of stuff and history. And the history of this being placed here is just ancient. And it probably predates like even the Picts and stuff potentially. Yeah. You can see that it's sedimentary rock by the layers in it there. And also the way it's been worn out, there's maybe been like pebbles or whatever. That is an interesting worn bit there though. It's crazy to think the technology they had years ago, that they were able to move and shift stuff like this. It almost looks like this bit here's cut and there's been something mounted. So not unless that was to assist with the operation of like moving it around. But then sometimes you would get a natural looking bit like that in a stone. Yeah. But anyway folks, just thought we would update the video with that. An interesting big standing stone, and that's the kind of thing you get out here in Scotland, within these wild lands. And look at the view. There's an old chapel that we've noticed sitting at the far side of the river, but we were just thinking of like how to even get there. It looks like we would have to maybe walk a fair bit from a main road at that side. But we'll have to keep that in mind for a future video. Maybe once the winter months come back on, we could do a mission down to a place like that. Right folks, we're now at location 3 in this episode here, and it's a real adventure in this one. We're giving you a right mixture of what Scotland's got to offer. And we are literally just out for a Sunday drive. And we stopped here. We're now at Montrose, but we've come out the back of the old World War II aerodrome. And this scenery here is just beautiful. And it's a bit milder at this lower lying land, and then over the sand dunes here is actually the sea. It's mad on one adventure in one video to have the mad wild glen, and then all the way down the beautiful sandy coast with white sand. It's cool to have that variation in this one episode, and it just shows you, like in a place like Angus, it's got so much to offer. And within a few miles you can have such a different scene. It's like going to a different country. And look how vivid this yellow plants is at this time of year. The wind is so extreme blowing down from the Montrose direction today. Check this out folks, this goes to show there's abandoned houses in Scotland all the way from the glens right down to the coast. And it looks like nowadays they've actually put in a fence here, like to stop people going in. But an interesting thing, last time I walked past, I think I was on my mountain bike, there was actually the joiner who built this had scribbled in. I can't mind what year it was something ancient, like 1928 or something. The boy must have fitted the roof, fitted the floor internally, and he'd written on his name. And that was within this house, and that's what I wanted to come and document, but I might not be able to see it obviously because of this fence. Yeah, because it's just literally on the roof. See if I was able to look through that wood there. It's written on. Kind of on the underside of the floorboard, and it must have been hidden for years and years while the folk like lived in the house and stuff like that. So look at this folks, I'm documenting this history. Look, John A. Cool, August the 26th, 1907. And that's the kind of history there that we love to find and document. And you can see with this scene, it's been fenced off, and obviously we're not going in because it's super dangerous. But I just thought I would record that piece of interesting history right there, because obviously it's almost gone forever. And just think, 26th of August 1907, the boy was in here building that, and it's so cool. That's how I thought it's worth recording that. Think of that with this house, 1907. And then now you can see it at the end of its time. We're not going in obviously because it's fenced off, but I just wanted to record that, and now I'm on my way. So there you go folks, just think this was likely built or modified in 1907. And now by the looks of it, it's maybe for sale or sold, but that wood will get taken away and scrapped and burnt, and that wee nugget of history will be gone. So it's cool to save it with these interesting little videos with little historical places like this. I remember when this roof used to be pretty much complete, and even within that few years it's just degraded and decayed, and you can see the reason they've had to, like, obviously put the fence around it. And it's totally destroyed, it's on its last legs. An interesting area. This was actually used as a site. Around here was one of the earliest radars in this area, and another site around here is like a Cold War microwave station, Canaber, which I have recorded on previous videos, and also the old World War II training airfield, and also in World War I it was an airfield, but it was called like I can't mind it wasn't RAF originally, it was a different name they had it. But that history goes back so many years. There's old shooting ranges and stuff, and so much hidden within this area. It's such an interesting place to walk. There's big poles with wires there folks, and that's where the fishermen used to like hang the nets to dry them and sew them, stitch up all the holes. And you often see that around the coast here with these massive poles and wires. Check this out folks, it's the beauty of the east coast here of Scotland. We can see the big ship out here chilling out on the water, probably waiting to get into Montrose harbour. And just look at the sand in this area, so perfect and fine. And we're blessed on the east coast of Scotland here to have so many beautiful beaches. And just look at this one, the way it goes on for miles. You can walk all the way down to the estuary at St Cyrus, that direction, and then you can cross over and walk even more miles on St Cyrus beach, and then all the way up this direction. It's just crazy, all the way to the town of Montrose. There is more of an extreme wind coming from this direction though, but you can see the tide line, it comes right up to the top here, and it's left all this huge like driftwood, but the sand is just beautiful and smooth, and for miles and miles there's just nobody. There's only a couple of other people on this whole beach, and it's crazy in Scotland how that can be the case. You can get so much land to yourself off.
You've walked that whole length, haven't you?
Yeah. Look at this folks, some of these stones on the beach, you would not believe the colour of them. They're vivid. Check this out folks, random find of the day. It's actually like an old washing line, but check out, it looks like a sword. It's mad, it's like some old sword. I better lay it down though, or there'll be sightings of a guy with a sword on the beach. When I saw it lying there, I'm thinking it's crazy a big chunk of metal like that can get blown, like, well, drifted around with the water. Who even knows how far that's come on its journey across here? That could have come from somebody's washing line in Norway potentially. So there we go folks, that's the beautiful North Sea there in the stunning east coast of Scotland. We're away to continue this adventure on now and head in away from that wind. It's so windy out there, it doesn't make for a good vlog. But yeah, the tide seems to be, it's no like ripping in with big waves today. Often the coast here can be ferocious and it's amazing to see sometimes the waves. But today it was pretty calm. And the weather has been okay for the adventures that we've had today. Look at this. Check this out folks, we're now out in the middle of what used to be the ancient runway here at Montrose Aerodrome. And look, it's got this mesh under the ground, and that used to stop the planes from sinking into the soil. And it's right over this whole piece of land, or a great deal of the land. But look, I just found this next to the hole. It must be an ancient piece of World War II technology for sure. And it's right here in the middle of the runway. You have to think it could have fallen off a plane maybe when it landed or whatever. That is crazy, it was literally just here. And I just spotted it and pulled it out. Think how long it's been lying in this piece of land for. If anybody knows what that is, get in the comments. It's not just a flat washer, it's actually like convexed. Wow, what an interesting little find. I'll put it back where it was, but you can see throughout the ground it looks like there's a fence on its side, but it's actually because we're in the middle of where the planes used to land. The cement piece here at Montrose around the outside used to actually be the taxiway. Oh look, there's loads of these pieces. So that used to hold the mesh in place. Look, with 2 pins chapped in. That's what it is, because look, there's the edge of it. So that's cool. We're actually putting this history together, folks, and understanding what we're seeing. And that's just incredible to see. These ones are still in situ. And that mesh just goes right over it. Think about the planes landing on this surface. It must have been kind of eerie. It was back in the days of World War I even, when they had the biplanes with the twin wing. Anyway folks, let's see what other little nuggets of history we find here on this adventure. It's mad to imagine all the old planes landing on this bit of land. Look at this folks, here's a different type of reinforcement in the ground here at Montrose.
I think this could be the roof of the bunker.
This is the sort of thing that's hardly actually documented ever. Things like this, it's been strengthened at a certain time with metal bars, and where the rabbits and stuff have exposed the land, you can actually see it. Channel DJ is theorising here that there could be a bunker because there's 2 hatches that's been blocked up. And I remember one time years ago, before I was even a YouTuber, I came here and we took one of the lids off and looked in one day, because it used to be little lids that you could lift up, and there was a ladder going down. We thought at the time it was just drains or whatever, but on hindsight, the way they've been blocked up, again, we are saying there could have been a wee bunker or something under here potentially. The old battle headquarters was located over there at that old bridge, and I've documented that on a previous video, including original photographs of it as well, which was interesting. Yeah, the bars is right through the ground. And I've seen other types as well of reinforcement in the ground here. It's interesting to see all that different ways they did things. Here's a dog, a random dog here barking at us folks. Shout out if that's your dog right there. Look at this folks, we're further along here now a fair bit and there's more evidence. Look, the metal bars is on the ground here as well. Yeah, look, there's so much under the ground here. Look, and that must have been reinforcing the ground. See this at Montrose, that's the history that's like undocumented and unseen. And it's like forgotten history, folks. Hidden here in the ground. Look, this shows you how they connected this network of mesh wires, look, to support the ground and give it strength. They looped it around some bar there, 1.5 inches, and then run their metal straps from that under the ground.
Look, this whole ground's got at the minute.
Yeah, wow, the whole area.
Yeah.
So that shows we're getting to like the heart of what must have been the runway or whatever originally. This whole area, you just see the metal and the squares. It's quite clear over here.
Yeah.
Check this out here folks, look at this network of metal which is under the ground here. And just check it out, they're all carved round. Probably so if the planes was landing or the machines were even driving over these areas, they wouldn't get punctures at all from the way they've looped it round. Look, it's had a metal mesh, see that?
Yeah.
Waved onto those bars. So that makes sense, that was supporting an ancient like waved mesh, but all that's corroded off now, just leaving these. And it's crazy to think how this would have looked when it was first laid. Incredible like history, maybe even predating World War II, which is mad to think about. And it's like unseen history here in Montrose, because a lot of people visit the more obvious history, whereas there's just stuff under your feet everywhere when you explore here. It's crazy to see. It's almost like mind-blowing history, like. When you see stuff like that, you're almost travelling back in time and imagining how it was when they were fitting that. The height of the war. So it looks like this area here, folks, has been levelled. Probably before they made the runway and that, they would have levelled it to a certain degree. And we're finding a crazy amount of pottery and stuff. And I was just thinking, how could that pottery get away out here? And then I thought they were maybe using like a bit of a landfill kind of area, and then they levelled it. But we're so far out in the middle of the dunes with this old runway It's just crazy to see this World War II history. At the start of this video, we were way up in the Wild Glen, looking at remains of somebody's like old sheep pen or stone construction, and then here we are down at the coast, looking at the heart of a World War II runway. And it's a runway that they used to land on the grass, which is rare, and that's why you get these relics right underfoot. You can walk down here a mile or even more and you'll still be walking on top of this ancient metal under the ground. It's mind blowing to see it. So cool to document it and save that history to show how they did things like that back in the day. If you were just landing straight onto the sand, the wheels would probably be digging in and the props would be striking, and it would be a dangerous landing. Look at this, folks. This is one of the relics of the World War II history. Just think how big the building or hangar was that at one time was held up from this pillar. And look, you see the wire waves still over here in the grass. You see remains of it sticking up. And we've actually made it as far over as the taxiway, which now runs across the middle of this old, well, what is this? It's like some old yard here. But this is all like the oil company's yard at this other side. But we just wanted to look at this because there's remains of something cement here. All the way around we've seen little remains of bits of pillboxes that's been dismantled, and they've used the big chunks to like block roads and stuff like that. But it's cool to find the history when it's still in like its original position. And it looks like this has always been here, eh? Yeah. So just imagine the planes taxiing down here. That road going in there is of newer construction. Or is this a big chunk on its side? Yeah, because originally it must have been sitting upright. So this is another chunk of a pillbox, I think. Or it could have been anything, because look at that, eh? That's maybe been floor height on the inside. Because I do believe this is nowhere it's been, eh? It's been couped over. See the hex again? Yeah. That's the shape. That'll be the same. We've seen other remains of what must have been pillboxes that were destroyed. But it's just so interesting to see little things like that which relates to this airfield. Sometimes our adventures are just spontaneous and we never even know like what we're about to see, and it's crazy to think World War II RAF and just think those were the foundations to what would have been massive hangars at one time, probably with Spitfires and Hurricanes, any other type of World War II plane potentially. Check this out, folks. This must be some of the oil rig equipment. Look, it's got massive like gauges on it down at the far side there, and then other brackets there with like pipe, it's like quick release pipe clamps or something. Wow, that sort of thing must be connected to oil pipes deep under the sea, maybe even gas pipes.
Test stump.
A test stump it's called, folks. So test stump interchangery it says on it. So that gives you an idea. This is not a trade I'm in, so I can't really tell you about the deep sea exploration of oil and gas, but it's interesting to see the size. Oh, it says Pandarel requires proof test. Yeah, it's just massive things. All the deep sea stuff and that is just crazy sizes. It's mad that people ken what they're doing when they're engineering all that stuff. Interesting to see. But this place is actually built on top of the old runway and that, so and probably when they built that sort of thing they were bulldozing up a lot of the mesh and that was under the ground. And those pillbox remains that we saw, that'll be likely over there somewhere defending the airfield. Check this out, folks. This is the old World War II taxiway which leads right around the outside perimeter of this airfield, right across to where those sand dunes are at the far side, and then right up to the top where the main hangars and stuff were to do with the old airfield. And an interesting thing in front of us in this area is actually where the old battle headquarters was for this airfield. And all the operational, somebody was asking in the comments why they had a battle headquarters, but I believe it's if they came like under attack or in a situation where they were in a genuine battle, they would control the airfield and the airfield defence from that bunker. So most of the operational RAF airfields had them, especially around this area anyway, and it was just a bunker which was kind of where they would have controlled the battle. but there is just light remains of this one here now, and I believe in the early 90s it still stood within this spot here. Check it out, folks, this is some of the last remains. Look, there's actually a bit of metal sticking out there, but look, this is more of that stuff that's been ripped up from the airfield, more of that mesh kind of stuff. It's been dumped over here, but check out all this remains. I think some of this is from the battle headquarters, but then maybe some of this stuff is also from other pillboxes or buildings that was dotted around the airfield here. Because just check out the quantity of cement. I did look at a lot of this stuff recently, because look at that old stone with the perfect hole through it. But yeah, I looked at this area recently because I documented the battle headquarters and actually included a picture of how it looked and stuff back in the day, so you can go back and check that out. Montrose Airfield Battle Headquarters. In areas like this, it's just so interesting to look at because the amount of abandoned history and rubble. This building in its later years was actually like the red brick construction, whereas a lot of this stuff I'm seeing here is massive chunks of cement. And I can't exaggerate to you the amount of stuff that's underfoot here. Look, that's like an old push bike frame or something there. This whole area is just big chunks of cement and debris from the airfield. And the battle headquarters was roughly where you're standing. Check it out, folks, it's like walking about in history. Ken, when you imagine the people that constructed this sort of stuff and walked about here in its prime, it's just like travelling back in time. Over here, folks, behind that sewage works, there's actually a massive solar farm. Well, not a massive solar farm, there's a little solar farm there. And at the other side of the road, there's those huge old cranes. They've got so much character, they're probably too far to see on the video. But yeah, down this far side here of the embankment is where most of the red rubbly stones is from the battle headquarters. And I think when they made the yard for this offshore company, they probably just bulldozed all this pile of earth to here. Look, here's some of the red stone. Check it out, folks. Montrose battle headquarters. It's so interesting to see that and document it once again. Like, what an adventure this has been. I can't believe how much we've seen in this area. We'll be able to walk back this way to the car. Look, there's huge chunks of red stone there. Check it out, folks. It's almost sad to see when you imagine the old history with places like this and just think how the years pass and they disappear, and in generations to come the history is just basically forgotten. The amount of work that was done not so long ago to protect the country at a time of war, and a place like this was a key part for the training and the defence of the country. Look at this old bike. Yeah, when the World War II bunker and stuff was here, their train would have been hurtling down here. Look at the old bike. What's it called? A Murphy. Wow, what a cool old bike. Just shows you the relics. Look, here's old bits of metal and stuff. It's maybe old poles and that from the bunker, or even like the railway. Yeah, the walls have been so thick on that bunker, it's mad to see the amount of construction. Look, there's one of the old railway side posts, almost forgotten and lost into that embankment. And that's what you see along the old railways in Scotland. And this was the single line which led out towards St Cyrus and went over that massive big old viaduct which features in previous videos. So cool, it's mad. Like now this adventure we're looking at like railway history. The amount of different time periods you can cover in one video just with a short walk or a short drive, it's mind blowing. Yeah, it looks like people have been maybe like camping under here. I wonder if they knew that the red bricks they were using was part of an old battle headquarters. Yeah, but that shows the quantity because it was such a big bunker. And like we saw in a previous video, it was like a above ground bunker. Look at this contraption. It's got an electrical winding inside it, like a coil. No way, is that World War II or railway? Nah, I don't think it's a light. I think it's something else. It's an old, like, something for an electrical system related to, like, I'm not even sure what I wouldn't like to say, but some sort of transformer or a coil. Yeah, anyway folks, on with this adventure. We're almost back at the car. But yeah, this railway would have led right along the side of this ancient runway, or ancient airfield I should say. And it must have been crazy in like World War I, because there was hardly any planes. It was at the early time of like flight. But yeah, out here they were flying about in those, I think they were called, was it tiger moths or something, or some ancient twin-winged plane, like a biplane. I think we'll have to go this way, or it's too overgrown. This fence was likely put in when the railway was still in operation.
Yeah.
And I think often with the steam trains, the sparks used to come out of the exhaust and light. Sometimes the dry grass at the side of the railways used to ignite. I can hear a mouse or something right here. I don't know if it came out in the video, but it was quite loud to my ear. This is an interesting point here folks, right? We've just come to the far side of that railway, and an interesting thing we've seen, we noticed it at the other side in the sand as well, in the middle of the airfield. There's just so much charcoal in this area. And I don't understand why there would be so much charcoal, because it's strewn equally within the sand, below the soil. So if anybody knows about that, get in the comments. Charcoal throughout the ground, small fragments, big fragments, it's just within the sand. But I don't think it's railway related though, because it was found so far across in the dunes at the far side.
Are not the stones they put between the pillar?
For some reason,
Sleepers.
For some reason this is, aye, it could be, eh?
Yeah.
But nah, I think that's like what you call, kind of when they make gas with the coal, coke they call it, they burn it and then that's left behind. Not unless this used to be a massive tip, maybe from the town. Maybe it was a tip from the old gas works here at Montrose. See, this is the thing folks, we theorise on the history as we look at it, and often when you come up with theories you realise it could be quite likely or whatever. Probability can often tell you the true answer. But it's interesting how, if that had been coke from an ancient gas works, then it must have been dumped there before the time of the World War I airfield there. So that shows, I'm not sure what sort of timeline that is, but like the sort of thing we're documenting, like that within the ground, it's just random because it's all over. Like you could stop at any point.
So do you think, what do you call that? Slag or something?
Yeah, it's almost like some sort of slag stuff for a mill or a factory. Not unless it's too light to be like a natural stone. So I don't believe it's like volcanic rock or something that's within the sand.
No.
Look, there's a pipe coming out of the ground there. What's that about? Is there a secret underground something under here? Look at that folks, there's a dual pipe there. A pipe within a pipe.
Toxic gases.
Yeah, it's probably... Oh, you know what, that could be a sign then this is an old dump. Because they have pipes like that to relieve the gases from decaying debris and dumps. And that could be a sign then that they used to dump the coke for a gas works here, and we've seen evidence of it. And it's crazy. Look, what is that in that hole? Look at that. What even is that, folks?
From Conkers or something.
Nah. At this time of year, look at it. What even is that? It's not a mushroom. Look, it's got points on it and spikes. It's not a conker. It's growing out the side of that hole. I've never seen that before in my life, folks. Whatever that is, get in the comments. So if this was a dump, folks, that explains why there was so much pottery and stuff across at the far side, like I mentioned. And also that explains that carbony stuff. Yeah, it's almost like there's a wee pond or something over here in this bit of land. Montrose is such an interesting little place for a walk, with so much layers of history and so much years of history. And often you're looking at one thing and then you realise it's from a completely different time. but also we're looking at the history of the land as well as the artefacts within it. That's what makes these adventures so exciting and so interesting to, like, it's not just a plain walk. Oh, look at all this stuff here. Check this out, folks. We've come to the edge of this little watery area and we're finding loads of evidence. There's ducks. We're finding loads of evidence of like stones and stuff. Like, this has been constructed. What's been going on here? See, there's more remains of World War II history or whatever here, airfield history. Little bits of buildings. It almost looks like there's been a wee chimney stack or something there. And then all that red brick here, it's like they've bulldozed buildings into this water. Because this whole way around there is just pure buildings. Like somebody's been popping off the shotty down here. Check it out, folks, this whole area here is all cement and big chunks of buildings. Most likely bulldozed at the end of the war. So check this out, folks, we've just noticed another interesting detail. It's been like a mast or something. Because look, there's a big chunk of cement here, one here, and then look at the bolts on this one. There's been a proper big like bracket or something mounted on here. It's almost like the thing we saw with the anti-aircraft gun when we were at the chain home radar. Wow, so that shows there's just chunks of history even here. Just think what might have been bolted onto there. Could have been anything from like communications masts or anything. So much been going on at an airfield. And then even here, like another big chunk. And then there's more. They're just all the way around here for some reason. Maybe it was communications and they needed the water or something for cooling their early systems or whatever. So it is unusual that all that's round the front perimeter edge of that forest. But it looks to me like it's been bulldozed into the water at the end of the war. Yeah, but another thing I'm noticing, there's even stones here, like at this side. There's been so much here and it's such a shame that we're just like a few years too late. But at least we can record the things that we're seeing today. Yeah, so this shows, folks, next to the main road side of here, there's more of these red stones in the forest. And when you're driving past places like this, you've got no idea that all that history is just in here. Thinking of the things that may have gone on when this airfield was in its prime. People would have maybe spent years in an area like this doing their day's work, monitoring a radar system or maybe working a radio communications system. Look at this, folks, we're almost back at the car and still in the ground you find evidence of pottery and you find evidence of that old coke. It's so much lighter than normal coal. So it's crazy to think this whole area may be the site of a dump. But I believe that World War II cement pieces we saw in there had been put later into this piece of land. And that was maybe how it was such an ideal level bit of ground out here for them. It just blows my mind how spread out all those particles are over this land. Check it out, folks, an old bit of a plate once again. It's crazy to think like who was eating out of this dish. Somebody would have had their tea on there, maybe their stovies or their haggis. And then now that bit of the plate's made its all the way to here. And you can see the original blue pattern with on it. And like, yeah, it just blows my mind, folks. There's little nuggets like that. That's what makes me think it's been a landfill. I've said it already though in the video, but yeah, it's crazy sometimes when you've got no idea about a place and just by looking at it and uncovering wee details you can actually paint a picture of the history and understand what you're seeing. And it's so fun on these spontaneous adventures. We never know where we're normally going, we just go left and right and we end up seeing so much cool stuff, like that metal mesh which is under the runway. It's almost like unseen and forgotten. And to consider, yeah, to consider like how much work they must have done for the defence of the country, it's just mind-blowing. It's been so special to document it. Anyway, we're just about back at the car, folks, so I'm going to end this one here. Goodbye for me. goodbye for the channel DJ, and we'll catch you very soon for the next adventure, wherever we end up going.